I'm gonna draw your mom.
Welcome to the motherfucking lady. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, and now it's time for our weekend recap. We're going to kick it off with the super flyweight fight between up-and-comers Shannon Ryan and Nicola Hopewell, a fight that really ended before it got to turn into one, as Shannon Ryan scored a devastating knockout. The contest only lasted about 2 rounds. From the onset, Shannon Ryan was landing some very, very hard punches, very hard shots in the first round, which almost immediately gave you the impression this isn't going to last long. Not if Nicola Hopewell keeps getting hit like that. And it didn't. The contest only lasted about 2 rounds. After Nicola Hopewell is floored hard, the towel came out, allowing Shannon Ryan to advance to a professional record of 11 wins with 1 loss and no draws, 2 knockouts, 2 recorded knockouts. This fight between Shannon and Nicola was for a lesser version of an IBF title, this division's reigning IBF champion being Irma Garcia, who was in action not that long ago in defense of her title opposite the ring of then unbeaten Emma Doolin. Irma did to Emma Doolin what Shannon Ryan just did to Nicola Hopewell. That is who Shannon Ryan is targeting for the full title. Afterwards, you heard Eddie Hearn say they see no reason to wait any longer. Shannon Ryan is about as ready as she's going to be to challenge for world title honors. Currently on a 4-fight winning streak after having dropped a split decision to Emma Doolin in June of 2024, close to 2 years ago. 4 fights and close to 2 years later, she's more than rebounded off that loss and she looks ready. But there is a difference between looking ready and being ready, as Nicola Hopewell, God bless her, is no Irma Garcia. It's nice that Shannon was able to stop her the way that she did. It's great for the highlight reel, but doing that to Irma Garcia will prove a lot harder. Good steady schedule of activity for Shannon Ryan, who fought 3 times in 2024, 2 times in 2025, and she's already fought once this year, with plenty of time left to fight again and again. This weekend's contest ending so abruptly, in just 2 rounds, there's plenty of time for Shannon to fight over the summer months, then maybe again in the fall and winter, and any one of those ring appearances could be against Irma Garcia, who's now been picked up by MVP. If Matchroom want to use her to make that fight between her and Shannon, I don't think MVP is going to give them a problem. If they really don't want to wait, then the opportunity is there to do the fight between Shannon and Irma over the summer months. Do I think Shannon wins it? I think she can. I think she can, but you have to bear in mind that Shannon Ryan only really has 12 recorded bouts to Irma Garcia's 36. So even if you like her chances, it's not a foregone conclusion that she wins. She is younger and she is fresher than Irma Garcia, but so was Emma Doolin, and you see what Irma did to her. Where this fight might be different is Shannon Ryan is a more pocket-sized super flyweight. She's not long and limber like Emma Doolin. I think she's a little faster on her feet, and I know her punches are shorter, sharper. Well, they have to be because she's so small. Sort of has the Mike Tyson thing going on, to where she's small for her weight, but she uses that lower center of gravity to her advantage, fighting at a slight crouch, bending at the waist and knees, hunkering down, throwing very short punches, short hooks, mid-range to inside. So I would back her to beat Irma Garcia and become this division's IBF champion, but it's safe to say that it's going to be a lot harder to beat her than it was to beat Chloe Watson or Nicola Hopewell. That it's not a foregone conclusion that Shannon wins, but she can win, and I like her chances. Congratulations to her. Over to yesterday's mega match in the Far East between the super bantamweights Naoya Inoue and Junto Nakatani for undisputed. I went with Inoue to win the fight. I went with Inoue to win by way of knockout. He won by way of a decision instead. Not too shabby. The early goings of the fight, you saw Junto Nakatani come out and take on a very wide stance. Being cautious. He didn't come out guns blazing, stepping into his punches and looking to assert himself against Naoya Inoue. He comes out real cautious, real cagey, taking a wide stance, which I didn't think was a good idea, because in taking a wide stance, if any punches get in for Inoue, which they did, they're gonna knock Junto off balance because his feet are planted. We saw that a couple of times. Yeah, taking a wide stance if a punch gets in, or if you have to move suddenly, it's easy to get caught off balance because you've got such a wide base. For me, it looked like a 9-3 to 8-4 kind of fight in favor of the champion. in favor of Inoue to where he dominated the first half of the fight. He completely owned it because he was a lot more creative with his offense, and that's what I thought would separate them. Junto was too reactionary, not taking it to the champion, instead trying to work off the counter, which in turn lets the other guy lead the dance. If you're waiting to react to what the other guy is doing, the other guy is setting the tone. The other guy is leading the dance, and that's what Inoue did. Being too sharp, too fast, too agile for Junto to catch him with a hard counter. So much of working off the counter, for it to work, relies on the other guy making a mistake, and if the other guy doesn't, you're gonna end up giving rounds away. Junto did in the first half. While Inoue was light on his feet, in and out, creative with his offense, touching Junto to the body, then getting out of range, touching him to the head, then getting out of range, fighting at a slight crouch, angling his torso to roll what counter punches Junto lets go of. I wouldn't say that Naoya Inoue had it all his way. Junto Nakatani gave him that to which he needs to work around and something to think about. I wouldn't say that it was easy for Naoya Inoue, but it wasn't a hard fight to score either. And I don't think that Junto Nakatani really grew into the fight until the second half, when Inoue's a little bit more tired because he's been doing most of the work, most of the fight, leading the dance. Junto starts to open up more, try for more punches. Some get in and some don't, but at this point, he's far behind. He's got a lot of catching up to do. And Inoue is still in control. He's still the ring general. He's still in charge. It wasn't a barn burner per se, but it was a great exhibition of high-level boxing between two very high-level boxers that are sort of canceling each other out. Like what you saw in the two B-Vol versus Better B fights. Nothing dramatic really happens because the two guys in the ring aren't flawed enough to let anything dramatic happen, to make any mistakes. So what you end up with is a high-level fight where the guys are sort of canceling each other out. Though Inoue was the better man. Marginally better in a lot of different areas at a lot of different times. Little things that make a big difference. The biggest for me was that Inoue was more imaginative than Junto. He was more creative with his offense, whereas Junto was a bit more conventional, more textbook, and far too reactionary at the start. Just didn't do enough in the beginning, so you're starting off this fight at a deficit because you're letting him do all the work. Now, the fight going to a decision instead of ending in a knockout, is Inoue's power starting to diminish? Is it starting to fade? Is he starting to slip? Because he didn't knock out Junto yesterday. And he didn't knock out Alan Picasso before that, or MJ Akhmadaliev before that. Are there signs of slippage? I mean, it could be that way, or it could be that MJ and Junto, they're good enough to not get themselves knocked out. Their defensive prowess and their durability might be enough that they don't get stopped. And Picasso? Picasso was a big kid. He's a very big super bantamweight. Unbeaten going into the Inoue fight. So he's durable. I wouldn't rush to the assumption that Inoue's power is diminishing or that it's gone anywhere, because if it had, all three of those guys would have walked him down. All three of those guys would have opened up more and tried for more punches, took more chances if his power went somewhere. The fact that they didn't. They knew better. If you needed any testament to what still is Naoya Inoue's power, there were suspicions after the fight that Junto Nakatani had suffered a fractured orbital bone. Oh, his power didn't go anywhere, even if he didn't score a knockout. I didn't see any slippage. Naoya Inoue was quite literally out-jabbing the taller, longer fighter and the younger man. Supposed to be fresher. Slipping, rolling, and weaving under punches, all while landing his own, which is heavily reliant on sharp reflexes, coordination, and range of motion. I didn't see any slippage from the monster yesterday. So that if he doesn't stop the guy, maybe it's not because he's slipping, maybe it's just because the other guy's pretty good too. The other guy can fight, the other guy's durable, he can handle himself. Junto Nakatani, I think, will be a champion again. The Junto Nakatani that I saw yesterday beats Luis Neri, beats Marlon Tapales, beats MJ Akhmadaliev. In truth, I don't know that there's any super bantamweight that I can think of that I'd pick to beat Junto Nakatani. So he's gonna be alright. I think he will be a world champion again. Maybe not by fighting Inoue, but against somebody else. And as far as the monster, as far as Inoue, what's he gonna do next? Because there's a lot of time left in this calendar year. a Yahoo Sports article from out of Japan that might lend some insights into what the immediate future holds for the monster. In February of next year, Naoya Inoue versus Jesse Bam Rodriguez is mainly in Nagoya for the Riyadh season, Japanese tournament that is planned. If it is realized, it will be an estimated 5 billion yen money fight. The key main Saudi entertainment agency director will visit. On the 2nd, Naoya Inoue, the 4-weight world champion of professional boxing at Super Bantam, defeated former 3-weight world champion Jinto Nakatani with a 3-0 decision at Tokyo Dome on the 2nd, extending his world winning streak to 28. Regarding the future he was concerned about, Inoue said a blank sheet of paper and revealed that he would take a long rest, but Saudi Arabia's Riyadh season plans to hold a Japanese tournament at the IG Arena in Nagoya in February of next year. And it's been revealed that the frontrunner is the super flyweight division's Jesse Bam Rodriguez of the United States, the WBC, WBA, and WBO unified champion. It is said that fight money may be 5 billion yen. That's roughly 31 million US dollars. The legend of the monster is not over. After a tense 12 rounds with Nakatani, Inoue, who heard the 3-0 decision win, talked about the fight ahead in the ring. The future is a little undecided. Last year's 4 fights and this year's Tokyo Dome were decided, so I was very tense. Translation's a little bit rough. It was until last year and today, so please let me rest for a while. First of all, he revealed that he would take a long rest, and he said, I would like to have a fiery fight again, so I would be happy if you could look forward to it, hinting that the next time could also be a big fight. Is Inoue gonna sit out the rest of the year? And I don't think so. I mean, Naoya Inoue is a very prolific champion. He fights often. I don't expect him to fight 4 times in this calendar year, but I do expect to see him box at least one more time, say towards the end of the summer, in the fall. So he was hinting that the next fight could also be a big one, not inferior to the Nakatani fight. In fact, a surprising big plan is progressing under the surface. The Riyadh season, a global event set up by Saudi Arabia, will be held in Japan. The scheduled date and time of the event is February of next year, and the venue is the IG Arena in Nagoya. It is a new arena where Inoue fought Mudajan Akhmadaliev in September of last year, and as the main card, Inoue's participation in the war is offered under the surface. On this day, Turki El Al-Sheikh, the director of the Saudi Arabian General Entertainment Agency, who is in charge, came to the venue, and at a pre-match ceremony of the Inoue Nakatani fight, he went to the ring along with president of the WBO and others, and the match was played by the Terence Crawford? The secretary is known as a big fan of Naoya Inoue and signed a 3-year sponsorship contract for 3 billion yen 2 years ago and held the Ring 5, Night of the Samurai in Saudi in December of last year. He made Japan's national team players appear, such as the world match between Inoue and Alan Picasso, and the super bantamweight test between Nakatani and Sebastian Hernandez in the semi. The Riyadh season has entered not only Saudi Arabia, but also New York and Las Vegas. In September of last year, it attracted more than 70,000 fans at the Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, and Terence Crawford defeating Canelo Alvarez, the super middleweight 4-group unified champion, with a 3-0 decision, and the third class 4-group unified, the big match that achieved a great feat, was also a box office hosted by the Riyadh season. Inoue's opponent candidate he is interested in is Bam, a southpaw, another one who's undefeated in 23 starts. Set to return to action this June as he challenges Antonio Vargas for his lesser version of a WBA title in the bantamweight division. It would seem that Bam's not going to be at bantamweight for very long, not if there are already plans underway to put him in the ring with Naoya. The way it might happen, if Bam gets through the Vargas fight, if he wins, maybe he fights one more time afterwards before this year is out, but not too close to the next one. Not if the plan is to put Bam in the ring with Naoya in February. Thinking about that timeline, maybe Bam can fight again in the fall, sit out all of the winter. And it's the same for Naoya Inoue. Maybe he can fight in the fall, sit out all of the winter, then start training as the new year approaches. Because if they're going to fight in February, you'd have to start camp at some point towards the end of December, all throughout January, to then fight in February. Don't you think they're moving a little bit too fast with this? Is it too soon for Bam to fight Inoue? Too soon for Bam, maybe, but not too soon for Naoya Inoue. Not soon enough. Remember, Inoue is the older fighter in the fight. Time is not on his side, so he needs to have these fights with guys like Junto and guys like Bam while his reflexes are still sharp and they still work. It's the sooner, the better for Naoya Inoue. For Bam, it might be too soon. He's not even arrived at bantamweight yet, and they're already charting a course to super bantamweight. Why would they do this?
Money.
It's the money. Irrespective of winning or losing, a Naoya Inoue fight presents a unique opportunity for anybody and everybody at these weights to make the kind of money these guys don't normally make. Fighters at Superfly and Bantam and Super Bantam, they don't normally make very much. And I'm talking about world champions, in some instances pound-for-pound fighters. None of these guys in previous years, like Gallo and Chocolatito, were getting the kind of money that Inoue is getting. So that creates a unique opportunity for everybody around these weights to cash in. Win or lose, opposite the ring Naoya Inoue, you stand to make more money than any super flyweight, bantam, or super bantam has ever made. Thus, if they're hitting the gas and perhaps rushing Bam into this situation, that's why. It's because of the money. It's because that might be his only chance to make life-altering money. If you don't fight this guy now, while you got the chance and the money is there, that opportunity may never present itself again. Naoya Inoue is a once-in-a-lifetime fighter, a once-in-a-generation fighter. They don't got 2 or 3 other guys like him lying around, generating what he generates. You've got to get while the getting is good. Even if it costs you your unbeaten record, this is still an opportunity, and that's why they're rushing him into it. I don't think Bam wins that fight, to be honest with you. I hardly think he's ready for it when he's yet to make his bantamweight debut. How could we gauge his success at super bantamweight against what has been the greatest super bantamweight the division has ever seen? Bam may be a southpaw like Junto Nakatani was a southpaw, but by now, Naoya Inoue has seen his fair share of southpaws in Junto Nakatani, in MJ Akhmadaliev, TJ Doheny, Marlon Tapales, Luis Neri. He's seen plenty of southpaws to where Bam leading with that hand isn't going to be a problem. And Bam's a little guy. He's not going to be as long and limber, as rangy as Junto Nakatani. I think, side by side, he's actually going to be shorter. Inoue's already not that big a guy. As far as super bantamweights go, he's on the more modest end of the spectrum, but Bam would be even more modest. Even smaller. And what he brings to the table, his fancy feet, able to cut angles, and his volume punching is power. I think all of that can be offset by Naoya Inoue's speed and reflexes and his power. His distance control, his range of motion. I don't think Bam does anything better than Naoya Inoue. And because they're talking about doing this fight in the not-so-distant future, we're not talking about 2 or 3 years down the line. We're talking about February. The Inoue that I saw yesterday, he knocks out Bam Rodriguez, and I like Bam. But unless Inoue starts slipping, unless he really got old overnight, based on what I saw yesterday, that Inoue knocks out Bam. There's no shame in that. But that is how I have it until further notice. If these 2 guys are gonna fight early next year, I have Inoue by way of knockout. I don't see it any other way.